whosoever is looking to raise funds is I mean you need to raise funds only when you require the money. If you don't have a plan to deploy the money, you should never raise it. So with that intention, I think now we are set to use this particular round of funds and grow to almost 2,500 beds in the coming 1 year. Yeah.
Wow.
So with that plan, I think we should be around in 75 locations in India.
Welcome to another episode of Inspire with David. Today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Mr. Pranav Dangi. He's the founder and CEO of Hosteller, which is one of India's fastest growing hostel chains. You'll are present in already 18 cities, and over the last 6 years, you'll have hosted about 150,000 guests. So welcome, Pranav, and thank you so much for doing this with us today.
Thank you, David. Hi, guys.
Yeah, Pranav, so first of all, I'd say it's a really interesting space that your company is into, the hostel space. I just wanted to understand before we start, and like, what is it that drove you to start this company?
Oh, what drove me to start the company?
Yeah.
I think I have traveled myself very extensively. I've been to a lot of places. I've been a traveler for almost, I think, around 15 years
Mm-hmm.
now. And I always felt that there is something that is missing in terms of hospitality in India. I mean, you imagine going to a hotel and just taking a room and going inside, and then you're just cut off from the world. You don't know the city, you don't know the people around, and you don't know what to do in that particular city. But when it comes to hostels, and when I started living in hostels, I realized that this community style living is the perfect way to travel, especially for younger generation who is always keen to see a lot of things in that particular city that they go to. So definitely hostels brought in that change where I became careless and I started traveling all the more.
Yeah.
So and when the Indian market was explored back in 2013, there was nothing at that point of time that closely resembled what a backpacker hostel is. And I feel, I mean, that was the time when I really put my feet down and then entered this particular space, having no knowledge, no background as such. But then, yes, it has been an interesting journey so far.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So, what was your background before you took this plunge? Like, uh, where did you study?
So I'm an engineer, MBA, the typical combination, I
Oh
guess.
wow.
But yes,
Yeah.
I've also worked with corporate for 5 years before starting this. I worked with companies like Philips, Ernst and Young after the MBA. So yeah, I
Hmm.
have a little bit of corporate experience.
Understood. And then finally, at some point in time, you decided to like give that up and start this full time.
Yes. So I was working around 16 hours out of 24 hours in the last company that I was.
Yeah.
And I was doing so much. But then, yes, this particular idea was always there in the mind. The research was going on at that point of time. And it happened so that I worked in the company for 6 years, 6 months, and then parallelly started the hosteler and saw it growing for the first 6 months and then took a plunge.
Wow. Yeah. I think that would have been a very dynamic switch, like having a job in hand. Those 6 months would have been super hectic, but I think it was a
Oh,
very
yes. So, I
safe.
mean, 5 days of office and then just going around to places to figure out properties to take the right one and open it. And I think I remember 6 months went by just doing
Yeah.
this and nothing else. Nothing else in life. Yeah.
Yeah. I think those 6 months would have gone by in a jiff, super fast.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely, yes.
so when you started out, so from what I read up while doing my research is that y'all are currently in about 18 to 19 locations. So when you started, which was
Hmm.
the first one that you started? In which city
So
was
we
that?
started with Jaipur as our first location because I was based in Delhi and Jaipur was a comparatively cheaper real estate market. So
Hmm.
we thought Jaipur is the right fit for the first location. Um and it proved so. I mean, we have been doing pretty well in Jaipur since the time we opened there. So yes, Jaipur was the first, Delhi came in the second, then we did a few properties in Himachal, and that's how we grew.
Yeah, and then the rest is like just it's been a lot of growth after that, and the number of locations that you all have,
Yes.
it's very diverse as well.
Hmm. Yes, it is a little diverse as of now, but then yeah, we think there are more states
Hmm.
that we really need to be in. For example, we do not have a great presence in the south.
Hmm.
So yes, we're trying to build that. I think the upcoming quarters will be focused towards south and northeast. So
Understood.
northeast is another market that we really want to explore now.
Understood. So I just wanted to understand one thing in terms of the kind of model that you all have. Is it like you all rent out a space, you all redo it, or you all own the entire space and you all do it up? I just wanted to understand how that works.
Okay, so we work on a mixed model.
Hmm.
So our model is basically, the prime model is that we lease the property outright, and we lease it for 10 to 15 years, and we redesign the place, we renovate the place according to our design guidelines, and then we operate the property. So we are into a operational model as well as a franchisee model. But yes, we do provide every support to the franchisee, be it marketing or sales or operations. So we have our hands deep down in the business. Yeah.
Understood. So that it's like a hybrid model. It's either this or that. People can decide.
Hybrid model, you can call it.
Understood. Understood. And you just mentioned something called as like the design guidelines. Could you tell me a little more about that? Because that sounds quite interesting.
Oh, okay. So there are a few players in the backpacker hostel community right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We being one of them,
Yeah.
and I mean, we have been really focused on the fact that our design has to be perfectly right, and since day one we have focused on that, and we have tried to improve it every day. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, by design guidelines, we are the only brand which has a theme in terms of the real estate that we do. For example, we play a lot with the yellow color in terms of our colors, in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
architecture, or any installations that we do, as well as in terms of how a room should look, or how a common space should look, and it should look similar across the property. So that is what
Wow. Mm-hmm.
we mean by design guidelines, having design guidelines in the company. So yes, I mean, the customer should not feel that a particular hostel was better than suppose another hostel. So the same feel and same experience should go out when any customer is visiting any of our locations. So we do focus a lot on that, and in terms of our brand presence online, I think we have there as well settled a very strict design guideline that we do. We do creatives which are accurately aligned, or I would say they follow a theme which doesn't confuses our customers. Yeah.
Understood. So I think what you're trying to essentially create is like a common experience across all the properties. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, and keeping that bar that high that everyone has a common experience. They love each and every property that they
We
go to.
have our design, and we mix it with the local culture, food, or people, or the
Yeah.
landscape, and then how we come up with any new location that we come up
Yeah, yeah, that's quite interesting. And I'd say out of all the locations that you all have right now, which is your personal
with.
favorite?
Oh, I think it's Goa.
Okay.
I love Goa as a city. It has a lot to offer to anyone who goes there.
Hmm.
And yes, our Goa property is huge. It's right on the beach,
Hmm.
and it's always vibrant. So yeah,
Yeah.
Goa is my best. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think also the entire advantage or benefit of living in a hostel, like you rightly said at the start, is that
Hmm.
the conversations are outside of where you're staying also, right? It's in that community, in that open space, people playing some music, a
Yeah,
lot of things happening. It's not
yeah.
like a regular hotel where you just check in and check out. So I think that overall experience is very different.
I think, so I define hostel as a place where you don't just go to sleep.
Yeah,
You go to hostel to not sleep.
yeah,
So next time that you're traveling and if you're not looking to sleep, just go to a
yeah.
hostel.
No, absolutely. I think I'll take you up seriously on that. The Goa one, I think, is now on my list as well. I'm looking forward to it. So, if you can just also tell me now, in terms of, I would say there, each business has its own set of unique challenges. Wanted to understand
Hmm.
that what are the challenges that are probably unique to running a business like this, running a hostel or a
Hmm.
hostel-based business as opposed to, let's say, a traditional hotel or bed and breakfast here.
Uh, so I mean, when it comes to challenges, I think we have hotel-like challenges itself.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are some challenges that are unique to a backpacker hostel, I think it's the lack of knowledge in terms of the human resources that we hire. Because everything in India or everyone is trained according to hotel standards. There are no backpacker hostel standards, no standards where lean hospitality structure is I mean given as an education to people who are studying hospitality. So I mean it's that lack of experience in terms of hostels. So I mean that's one thing that we have been tackling since day one. I mean we have ourselves defined a lot of SOPs, a lot of uh, uh, guidebooks which are people are trained into, and then they go to a particular location. So yeah, I mean that's one challenge that we always face. The second challenge is also from the customer's point of view. I think customers also do know very less about what a backpacker hostel is. They think that it's a PG or it's a student accommodation and all of it. But then yes, I mean the Indian youth market. It's still. I mean we're trying to educate them, and
Yeah,
I think it's going to take another few years to completely make them understand about the idea. Yeah.
correct.
So I think these are few challenges that are there.
Absolutely. I think for me also personally, a lot of people, the first thought that comes to their mind when you think about a hostel or a backpacker hostel is that, okay, what about the privacy? So just
Hmm.
wanted to understand that I have on your website, I also saw that there are some private rooms also which you'll have within the property. So could you just tell me a little more about
Yeah.
that aspect of it? Like for people who are comfortable with staying with people and people who are not, how does it differentiate on the property?
Oh. So I think people who are willing to share a dorm have previously stayed somewhere in a dorm. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I would say there are only hardly a few who would like to explore the dorm right now. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's slowly changing. I mean, we have been offering a lot of female exclusive female dorms, and a lot of female are now picking up those dorms because it becomes really cheap for everyone to travel.
Yeah,
I mean, seeing from that perspective, I think yeah, a lot of people are comfortable because I feel a lot of people have learned about backpacker hostels through either traveling somewhere or hearing it from someone, a friend
mm,
or a colleague or a cousin. So yeah, I mean, I feel dorms are really picking up. Dorms. I mean, it becomes 80% of our inventory, and they always kind of sold out.
yeah.
And private rooms are, I mean, as good as a 3-star, 4-star category room.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are looking for a hostel-like experience and still want to stay in a private space, they tend to opt for those private rooms.
Understood. Understood. And there are other startups, like there is one startup which I'm aware of, which is like Zostel in the space. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand that is what is like the differentiation, or how are you all trying to position yourself a little more differently than Zostel and any other
Yeah.
startups in the space.
So, I mean, there are few key startups in this particular space,
Mm-hmm.
Zostel being one of them. So, yeah, I mean, but Zostel is on a different model. I mean, they are in a purely franchisee model. They are
Okay.
not into operations.
Mm-hmm.
So their standards at different locations are different. Those are franchisee owner run properties. So the structure of operations may differ from one location to another.
Mm-hmm.
But then in our case, it's all standardized under the one umbrella, which is the hosteler. and everything happens at all the locations in the same fashion. I mean, we have a single
Yeah.
SOP defined for all the location, whether it's a franchisee or it's our own hostel. So that's one big differentiation. The second is our locations. I think Zostel is quite spread, whereas right now we are very concentrated in the northern India. So I
Hmm.
mean that location advantage is there, where we have a hostel in every 150 kilometers in India,
Oh,
in terms of these states.
oh.
So I mean that's there. And the third thing is, I think, I mean, both the brands are little different in terms
Hmm.
of how things are done operationally, because I mean they have a different set of guidelines. We have our own guidelines. We do a lot of events, and I mean stand-up comedy or live music
Hmm.
shows at our properties, whereas Hostel doesn't get involved in all those things.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I mean, we're trying to make it a better experience for our customers.
Yeah, I think you all are also a main benefit of having a common SOP across all would be that for you all to scale, it's
Yeah.
easier, right? Because then there is a standard, there is a gold standard which everyone has to follow. So I think that's another benefit.
Definitely. I mean, that's the aim. We have been trying to perfect our operations, but then, yes, I mean, as it said, you can never be perfect. But then, still, the idea is that whosoever is working under us, they should know the company values. They should know how things are getting done in the company, or how they should communicate with the guest, and all the other things. How do they maintain the property? How do they get better reviews and all of it? So I think having that particular guidebook is very
Yeah.
necessary for the company.
Yeah, I think just having that outline to have running the property, and also having your support would
Yeah.
also make a big difference in people getting the confidence to get more involved in this from a business perspective.
Yes.
Correct. And recently, also in the last month, right? I think you'll raise some capital. So I just wanted to understand that
Yeah.
how was that journey for you? Because we as a company, so apart from this podcast, I also have a 3D printing company, and we've also been trying to raise capital for a while now. So I just wanted to understand that uh, what was it that you had to go through, and how did you prepare better for raising this capital?
Okay. So, Devik, I think for the first 3 years, we were trying to perfect the model. Then we started going out in the market to raise funds.
Hmm.
We think that we have learned the art of opening a hostel in the form of plug and play kind of setup. And then it's now replication of these hostels across cities.
Hmm.
With that idea, I think in 2018, when we really required money,
Hmm.
we went out in the market and raised our first round. It was a seed round
Hmm.
that happened in 2018, and we were supposed to raise another round in 2020, but then COVID hit, and a
Yeah.
lot of things got derailed for the travel and hospitality sector. But
Yeah.
then we were lucky enough, and we have a set of good investors with us who believed in us and funded us finally in 2021.
Hmm.
So I mean, the journey has been quite. I mean, it has been with a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
But then one thing that I always want to tell to whosoever is looking to raise funds is I mean, you need to raise funds only when you require the money. If you don't have a plan to deploy the money, you should never raise it. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
So with that intention, I think now we are set to use this particular round of funds and grow to almost 2,500 beds in the coming 1 year. Yeah.
Wow.
So with that plan, I think we should be around in 75 locations in India,
Hmm.
and hope so. I mean, we want to add more and more locations, so we're looking
Yeah.
for another round very quickly. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting. No, also, I'd like to say what you said was very valuable in terms of people raising capital only when they need it. For us, also, I would
Yeah.
say when we started out, me and my partner, we were like, okay, we know 3D printing. That's our core skill.
Mm.
3D printing is a capital
Yeah.
intensive business. You need machines to run
Mm.
it. In the first year, we were on a trading model where we said, let's just understand the
Mm.
business without investing any money. It was just him, me. and few people in the team which we built, and we were working out of a small office without a single machine. So we also went through that journey where 2.5, 3 years in, we said that okay, now is the time, and COVID had hit, and we still pivoted at that point of time. But yeah, that was when we also realized that okay, now is it, we know what we want to do with it because we dug deep, experienced it without the machines. Now let's go step by step and grow out into the machines. So yeah, I think that that is very essential because we're just so I would say uh, there are so many stories around us where people are raising capital, where a lot of people just want to raise capital, like I said, without having a proper plan to deploy. So 2,500 beds and 75 cities. Also, are you planning on going international or only within the country as of now?
I think the next 12 months are set on India itself.
Mm.
We're not looking at anything else for now.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're looking to raise a round of almost 10 million,
Mm.
which should happen in another 6 months. And with that particular round, we'll be going international. So we are
Understood.
eyeing at almost 5 countries right now.
Mhm.
So yes, 5 countries and around 50 hostels in those countries.
Wow. So how would it be? I mean, since a lot of those places, like I have stayed in one hostel up until now,
Hmm.
which was in
Yeah.
Amsterdam. I had gone to visit my sister there, and there was some
Hmm.
of my friends who we were meeting, and then we just stayed in some hostel in the Hague. So I just wanted to understand. So now, when you all are going abroad, what would a plan of action be for you all while maintaining the, I would say, values that you have?
Okay, so the idea is to set up a team altogether which looks at the international expansion. We'll definitely be looking at probably acquiring any local brand over there and then doing a smooth transition for almost a year. But if that's not possible, definitely that team who will be looking at expansion, they'll be setting up ground there and they'll do their ground research. We already have a lot of contacts in terms of countries like Thailand or Vietnam, because I mean, these are some countries where we have hostel connections where the other people are running hostels in those particular countries, and a few things over there, and definitely, I mean, we have our internal research team who takes care of uh, any location, and they do the entire groundwork in terms of data or in terms of social media trends and all of it, and then we zero in on any particular location. So yeah, I mean that these particular things will definitely drive us, I think, to choose the perfect location that we want to be in.
Yeah, I think that's quite an exciting time. I think now that I would say the second round of funding is coming for you all are preparing for a third round.
Mm.
I think the pace must
Yeah.
have picked up a lot. So the team also must be
Yes.
growing very rapidly for you all.
Yes. So I think in the last 3 months we have gone crazy.
Yeah.
We definitely we have. I think the team has grown
Mm.
multifold. We were only 12 or 13 people. I remember in June this year.
Mm.
Right now we are around 50 people in the head office team.
Wow.
So I mean the team has grown 4 times in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
As well as in terms of work, we really want to, I mean, finish this particular thing in the 6 months itself, not
Mm.
stretch it to 12 months.
Mm.
So we are working at a full capacity right now. But still, yeah, I mean, there is a lot more to do. We still have a few states which are unexplored. And yes, those states will have a lot of hostels in the coming months.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, increasing staff fourfold in 3 months is quite a big challenge. I mean,
Hmm.
with increasing numbers, so we also
Yes.
increased numbers recently, and then we realized that along with that, there are a lot of other challenges which you don't foresee as a founder because you're focused on
Yeah.
your core skill and your product. But as the team grows, then you're just like, okay, need to figure out people, placement, who works on what. Yeah, I think it just comes with its own set of fun challenges.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it is a fun ride. Every day you look up to go to office, and
Yeah.
I think team that we have built so far, I think every one of them also looks to come to office every day, and they think that they're making a difference. So yeah, I mean, that's the most exciting thing about it.
No, absolutely. And I would say post COVID, a lot of people have started taking like these workations and they're like going on trips where they're staying in places and properties. So have you all also seen that spike post COVID? And is that in specific
Oh yes,
properties?
yes. No, so we are doing workation at all our properties. We have transformed the properties such that the person who comes for a workation gets a working environment. We have upgraded our Wi-Fi. We have added a work lab sort of thing. Uh, we have changed our policy to have silent hours. We are giving free
Oh
coffees
wow.
and all of it. And on the weekend, we take them on hikes and
Hmm.
treks and a lot of activities, so that I mean, a person who's supposedly working out of Bombay
Hmm.
uh, would be a little sad than a person working out of, let's say, Manali, because
Yeah.
he it still gets to do things on the weekend, whereas
Yeah.
that wasn't possible at that particular time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think a lot of people have switched to that trend, I would say, of utilizing this time most effectively. And there is this one thing which I saw everywhere, which is like this hashtag get up go. So just wanted to
Hmm.
understand like where that came from.
Uh, so get up go is something that we just use as a slang, no?
Yeah.
Okay, when we're sitting with a group of friends,
Yeah.
okay, okay, let's go, yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Let's get up and
uh,
go.
you guys have been ditching us
Yeah.
for quite some time, but now is the time to get up, go, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that feeling. I mean, I would say it's just the feeling where you can just travel without giving it a thought. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the best kind of travel when it's unplanned.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, yes.
No, that's quite cool.
So so
I
that's
can,
that sort of become our hashtag.
uh,
We use it at a lot of places, and I
yeah.
think we have been following Get Up Go since a long time.
I think that is like a solid ethos of the brand which has been built. Quite interesting. So I think you have some fun times ahead, and I'd
Hmm.
say uh, before ending the show, just wanted to ask: is there anything that you'd like to tell all the people that are viewing? If there is anything that you'd like to change in terms of the perspective about hostels, or anything
Hmm.
that you'd like to share, the stage is yours.
Just want to say to your audience,
Yeah.
I think travel is very important.
Mm.
Travel, I mean, relaxes you beyond anything that you do in that particular city that you are living in. And I think if you have 10,000 rupee saving in 3 months, okay,
Mm.
so I would suggest you should travel. Like once
Yeah.
in 3 months, every travel, and it doesn't cost much. So and start staying in hostels. So I think we are the future, and I mean you love it.
Yeah.
So do travel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think absolutely. To everyone out there who's listening and who has not experienced a hostel, just try it to really understand what it is like, and probably
Yeah.
you might just end up falling in love with it.
Uh-huh.
Sounds good, Pranav.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much for your time. Thank you for doing this.
No problem. Have a nice day. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.